I'm a pants on fire urgency guy right now. You need to be prepared because our monetary system is well overdue. $38 trillion is just unsustainable, and there's no way you're knocking that number down. Stablecoin, which was written into law on the 18th of July, that is the Trojan horse. That's what's going to lead us into it. Be prepared. Our money system is changing very quickly right now in front of our eyes, and if you're not prepared, you're going to be caught holding a currency that you just lost 90% of, just like the Deutsch did, or 30%, just like the French did. This happens all the time.
International Stacker.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back again, and in many of my live streams you've been saying, how do I protect myself? I've got all my retirement tied up in these IRAs in the stock market, and this paper, fiat, currency, that is literally always gone to zero. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a true expert in the industry. Got Shannon Davis, who is a gold bug himself. How you doing, Shannon?
I'm doing great. Excited to be with you, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on, because I think there's a lot of questions folks have been leaving in the chat and leaving in the comments. But before we get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Married man, 2 kids, trying to make sure that they know what real money is. Started when I was young. My dad collected coins, the 90% coins, silver, dimes, quarters. It was an experience for me at an early age, and then transitioned to leaving high school and, hey, I got to get a job. I got to make money, and got into the alternative financing, venture capital, found gold, silver years ago, and jumped headfirst in. It's led me to something I'm passionate about and helping people protect their wealth.
One of the reasons I stack the history of money, and nowhere in the world has money or paper currency that's not been backed by gold and silver lasted. It's all gone to zero. And literally my favorite example is Zimbabwe, where they went from $1 million notes to $1 billion notes to literally $1 trillion notes. And it's really disgusting. And before we jump in this, I know that I'm doing my mega giveaway soon, but a big thank you for sponsoring. This is 100 grams, ladies and gentlemen, Scottsdale Premium Silver. Thank you for sending this on over to be included in the MEGA GAW. That is mega.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. That's exciting.
Folks, if you're not entered, enter in the link in the description below. I want to ask you a question, and it's one I have myself. I know a lot of folks that subscribe to my channel have IRAs and different types of retirement instruments, and a lot of that is tied to the system we don't believe in, right? Because if we're believing in this, we don't believe in that. So can you just take a quick second and just tell, how do gold and silver IRAs work?
It's really simple, actually. So many people don't know that you can move traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, a 401k, government employees, TSP accounts, 457s. I mean, any vehicle you can move tax deferred and penalty free into a self-directed IRA. It's a traditional or Roth IRA. The only caveat is you're in control. It's self-directed by you, and we just help you facilitate that process. It's a program that's been around nearly 30 years, and not enough people know about it, and they're starting to know.
Historically, throughout history, we've seen monetary systems change every 30 to 40 years. And the last time that happened with us was Nixon in 71 going off the gold standard, right? So we are far overdue. And overdue. I feel a sense of urgency. I'm a bit younger, right? So I got into metals from crypto. I was mining Bitcoin in like 2014. I was living in Saudi Arabia at the time. I was contracting. Met another contractor out there, taught him about that. But he's like, I'm a stacker. I'm like, what's a stacker? He's like, I stack gold and silver. I'm like, what? So then I started researching it. I went down the rabbit hole. And do I still play with cryptos a little bit? Yeah, but to me, it's like going to the casino, more or less, right? But where I really opened my eyes and put a lot of my trust and faith was the stuff that's been real money for thousands of years. And when I first started stacking, I felt such a sense of urgency of the system is coming down. It's going to change fundamentally. And my concern is going to like a digital currency, because then you have max taxation. Like you can't even spend money at a garage sale anymore without it. And then max control. Do you feel a sense of urgency at all? And do you think like central bank digital currencies is going to be essentially the vehicle for like the new US dollar? Because they're going to change it. They have to. And what's that going to look like?
Exactly. You absolutely nailed it. I'm a pants on fire urgency guy right now. When they move quickly. So you need to be prepared because our monetary system is well overdue to change. $38 trillion is just unsustainable, and there's no way you're knocking that number down with tariffs or whatever they want to do. It's not mathematically possible, and it's a math problem. So stablecoin, which was written into law on the 18th of July, that is the Trojan horse. That's what's going to lead us into it. Now, when does it happen? It could be next month, it could be next year, but be prepared because our money system is changing very quickly right now in front of our eyes. rise. And if you're not prepared, you're going to be caught holding a currency that you just lost 90% of, just like the Deutsch did, or 30%, just like the French did when they converted from the franc to the euro. This happens all the time. We know how to manipulate the system a lot better and kick that can down the road and pump the market up just so they can take more profits. And who gets caught? It's us. It's us on the other end of that stick. And so I am very concerned, and so should everybody else be.
When it all comes crashing down, I literally feel like we could wake up one morning, all of a sudden it's gone through the roof, and then everyone's trying to get in, then it goes to a mania phase, and then it's like you're too late. But holding physical gold and silver now, to me, is that protection. Lynette Zhang, somebody out there who is an ex-banker, I've interviewed her on the channel, and she's saying that shields are made of metal, gold and silver, and I have a silver shield down here somewhere. But I totally agree with you. That's going to be the methodology. I totally agree it's coming. And that's why I think gold and silver IRAs are such an opportunity. So if I wanted to convert an IRA today, like what would I do and how long would it take? Especially with that sense of urgency, like how quickly can I change it into gold and silver? For the love of God, help me.
Well, I follow Lynette as well. Very, very, very smart lady. She has been in the finance world and knows how corrupt it is. Yeah, I'm a fan of hers as well. It starts with giving us a call or reaching out to us, getting educated on the process first. That's where it starts. Education, how you move a portion of your wealth into gold and silver. The process to move the money, it can happen in 24 to 48 hours. We help you move that money. Once that money lands in your new self-directed IRA where you can hold physical assets, not only gold and silver and platinum, but you can hold real estate, fine art. It's yours. You're not restricted. You can have gold and silver inside your self-directed IRA within a 7 to 10 day period, depending on how long it takes to get your money out of the system. Because these institutions like Edward Jones or Vanguard, they're hemorrhaging losses. They've got so much unrealized losses on the books that they're holding onto your money playing games. So that's the X factor. But if it goes the way it's supposed to go, you can have gold and silver in your self-directed IRA within 7 to 10 business days.
And I assume these companies absolutely hate when they have to send out, someone like cashes out and sends it over to some sort of sound money IRA.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's money under management. They charge anywhere from 0.75 to some charge up to 2%. Whether you're making money or not, they're charging that management fee. And there's a lot of other hidden costs and no education, and they can't sell you gold and silver. If they could, they would.
For gold and silver IRAs, does the gold and silver have to have serial on it to be eligible? How does that work?
It does not. It just has to be investment grade, 9999 for gold, 999 for silver, IRA approved assets. Your collector pieces based on the purity cannot be rolled into an IRA. So there are some limitations, but you can hold hundreds of different types of assets. Platinum and palladium you can hold in an IRA as well. The physical asset, not paper.
So you're telling me I can't build an IRA on silver crabs is what you're telling me.
Correct, but I want one.
I'll send you one. Is it silver only? Is it gold only? Can you do a mix? How exactly does that work?
You can do whatever you want. Once the funds land in their self-directed IRA, we do a metals consultation with them based on what their short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals are. The mixture can be whatever you want. It's really about you. What do you want in your retirement account?
Do you all source the metals based on their budget and then you store it in some sort of repository? How does that work?
Exactly it. We are a dealer, right? We deal in volume. We've got every asset under the sun. So we've got the ability to place the assets for you. When you're rolling an IRA over, if it's a traditional or if it's a 401k, in order for it to stay tax deferred, it needs to be held at a secure depository. Delaware Depository, IDS Texas, Nevada IDS. There's many depositories across the entire country. These are international firms. They're standalone firms. They are tied to absolutely nothing, and they are your accounts. They're in a military graded vault. They're protected 24/7. It's like Fort Knox, and it's insured through Lloyd's of London. Natural disasters, act of God, whatever it is, your assets are insured as well.
You're saying military grade. What happens if the place is robbed, or if an earthquake happens and a fissure opens up and swallows it all? You said it's insured, but is it kind of like FDIC where it's only 250,000, or is it the whole thing, or how does that work?
Great question. Yeah, good luck if you want any money from FDIC. That fund is absolutely bankrupt. Small fraction of what's in there could even amount to all the money in bank accounts across this country. No, it's insured. It's insured fully. You pay $125 a year. That's it for the insurance, for the security, and for the vaulted position. It's solely under your control.
Are there any other fees like storage fees or sourcing fees that people have to pay?
The only other fees that you would incur outside of the $125 annually is shipping. If you want to take a distribution out of your IRA, you don't have to ask your broker. You don't have to ask your financial advisor. You can make the choice on your own. You can liquidate the assets just as easy. It's a global market, as all know. And so the only additional cost that you would incur for taking a distribution would be shipping and handling so that it's insured to your doorstep so that you can receive your physical assets.
And you kind of just answered another question. And before I ask that question, this U.S. Assay Office, I love these bars. It says minted from the U.S. Strategic Stockpile. And I'm sure you know that on the memo for critical minerals, that's both silver and copper. And actually, I've got a giant copper here, a copper bar here.
Wow.
We're added to that, which is going to send just demand, I believe, through the roof. But with that being said, so say hypothetically, I have an IRA with y'all that's gold and silver. I don't know why in the world I would want to do this, but for some reason I say, you know what, I want to get back in the game of Monopoly and throw it back into a standard IRA or something. Is it easy to reconvert back, or is it once you're in, you're in?
No, it's extremely easy. We help facilitate that as well. You know, once you become a customer of ours, we're with you on the journey every step of the way, start to finish. You know, that's a lot of our clients' strategy. They see the market volatility. It's absolutely propped up on a fake dollar. I mean, we're literally, it's monopoly money at this point, the way that they're printing currency these days. And so when the market corrects, which it always does, and you want to get back into that world, it's easy as giving us a call. We'll liquidate whatever assets you want. That'll go back into a cash position, still held in your traditional self-directed IRA. And that money can then be transferred back to Charles Schwab or Fidelity or wherever you want to place that money and put it back into the roulette system they call the stock market.
I love that. Kind of some fitting silver here is from the Game of Thrones. This is what the Hand of the King wore like on his neck. So when we're dealing with that paper fiat system. Now you mentioned something a little bit earlier that got me very interested. You said sending to your door. Can I just go full COMEX or LBMA trader on you and be like, you know, once I retire, demand a delivery and you have to send everything to my doorstep? How does that work?
100%. You don't even have to wait that long. Again, whenever you want it, you just have to take into consideration what type of account it is. If it's a Roth IRA that you've converted into gold and silver, a self-directed Roth IRA, and you've held it for more than 5 years, you've already paid your taxes. There's no tax implications from day one on the money you put in. So if you convert it to gold, you're not paying anything on that. 5 years or more, there's no capital gains implications. So you can take your $1 million out of your Roth after 5 years and have it all land at your doorstep and put it in your safe and have that peace of mind knowing that you have real money in your house.
People get weary of metals being kept in like look at Fort Knox. We know it's not there. Look what the Bretton Woods system, the peg of the dollar to gold just kept getting rehypothecated and diluted. So if I had an IRA with y'all and I had X amount of money in gold and silver, that means that gold and silver that's mine on paper is actually sitting in a depository somewhere, like in a special area under my name, and nobody can touch it or loan it back out to anyone else. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. Because again, this isn't a financial institution. This is a free and clear entity, the Depository International. This is where COMEX stores their metals. You've mentioned them. Whenever you want your gold and silver, it's yours. You can request it to be shipped to you directly. It's called an in-kind distribution. There's some tax benefits when you take metals as a distribution instead of dollar bills because of the melt value that they're holding versus the actual retail value. Whenever someone wants their gold, silver, platinum, or palladium, it's sitting in their retirement account. It could be the next day after rolling it in gold and silver, they can get it. It's theirs. No questions asked.
Oh, so that's a good point. And this is another piece of Scottsdale silver. So I'm happy you gave Scottsdale silver because I love it. So thank you for that.
Nice.
The tax implications on that would be like the melt value, but then you have like additional like equity in it, so to speak, depending on what it would sell above spot price.
Correct. Yeah. So you take a piece of silver out today, spot price is what, $47, $48, give or take. That's what's going to be notified to the Internal Revenue Service if it's a traditional IRA, because that's a tax deferred product, hasn't been taxed yet. When you take the distribution, that's when it's taxed. If you're taking it in metals, it's only taxed at spot price times the ounces that you have. But depending on what coin that is or how much longer you hold on to it after you take the distribution and let it grow, whatever you sell it for afterwards, say it's 2 years later and you're selling that coin for $80, the only thing that's been reported, because you've met your obligations, is that $47, $48 spot price when you sell it for 80. So there are some tax benefits, especially when you're getting older, that can come in really, really handy.
I got another question for you, but real quick, this is 18.7 troy ounces. This was poured by myself, and this is one of the prizes I'm giving away in the MEGA GAW. So for the love of God, everybody, enter the MEGA GAW. Link is in the description. But with that being said, I want to ask the evil question that many different companies might dodge, but I have a feeling you won't. And the question I'm going to ask you is, what if you all go bankrupt? Is my metal gone? Am I in trouble? What happens then?
Yeah, that's the beautiful part. All we're doing, in essence, is we buy, sell, and exchange gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. That's it. The IRA, that's in your name. The beneficiaries, they're your beneficiaries. God forbid something happens. The depository, that's in your name. That's in your beneficiary's name. We can go bankrupt in 3 years from now. It has nothing to do. Lehman Brothers goes bankrupt. We all know what happened. There goes your money. So there's no affiliation. We just have the resources. We have the metals. We have the custodians. We have the depositories. We help you facilitate it from A to Z. But if we go out of business, it's still your account. But if Charles Schwab goes out of business, you're in trouble. We go out of business, you own your gold and silver.
That's awesome. And with all the stuff going on about possible bail ins, last time it was bail outs. This time maybe the banking system's going to bail in and keep everyone. Here's 500 shares in our bank, and thank you for all your hard-earned paper currency. There's a mantra that when I was researching your company, I saw protect, preserve, and prosper. Those are 3 Ps that resonated with me. Yeah. I know you yourself are into metals. You have a collection of some gold and silver. How has your personal journey with gold and silver kind of helped inform how you run this company as the CEO?
I love that question. When we started the company, I learned more than I knew about gold and silver, how money works. It really opened my eyes. More and more people are starting to open their eyes for what it's done to me. I'll give you an example. My kids, I started them out very young with what options I had to put money away for them, like a 529 plan, right? The college plan, because there's some tax write-offs. I did life insurance cash value. So when you borrow the money back, there's no tax implications on the small growth because it's just a loan against the actual life insurance policy. I started taking that cash and turning it into gold and silver for my kids. They own gold and silver themselves. Now they're only all of 11 years old and 9 years old, but they already own gold and silver. I started converting that cash, the 529 plan, into gold and silver. I've bought quite a bit throughout the years at the right time. I've transitioned some of my retirement accounts. What we mean by protection is you want to protect a portion of your retirement. It's called a hedge, so that if the market does flip upside down 54% in 7 days like it did in 2008 and 2009, and gold and silver go up 3, 4, 5 times its value, you've got one going up while one goes down. And so you have a true hedge in place to protect the portion you lost with the growth you see on gold. So that's where protection comes from. I don't have all my money in gold and silver, but I do have quite a bit, and I'm happy I do.
I love how you're mentioning about your kids, because my daughter is a stacker. Her name is Rat Stacker. That's her name. She does have 2 pet baby rats, right? So she loves rats. Yeah. She loves silver rats, and she loves silver and gold. I pay her allowance in goldbacks, which has 24 karat gold in them. To win this bar in the MEGA GAW, you must enter in the comments below the code word asset. Use it in a complete sentence. Asset. This will be given away live in the MEGA GAW live stream. Now, I have seen like commercials on TV in between like AARP commercials and other types of commercials of shift your money over today, you get like $2,000 in free silver or gold. 2-part question for you. 1, do you guys have any kind of promotions or anything if anyone switches over? And 2, what sets you apart from your competitors?
That's good. 2 really good questions. We've got a handful of promotions. It really just depends on the individual. If you're buying, if you're taking your money out of a failing banking system and putting it into gold and and silver based on the purchase. We'll send you out a free safe as large as a gun safe, depending on what your purchase looks like. If you're rolling over an IRA, depending on the purchase, we offer, free silver, anywhere from $1,000 up of free silver, depending on the purchase. Some like to get their custodial costs taken care of for 3, 4, or 5 years, so they don't have to worry about that. So we've got multiple promotions that we offer. You just need to ask us. We'll go over them with you, and whatever makes the most sense to you, we'll do. What separates us from a lot of the companies is the culture that we built here. Number one, education first. We take the time to listen and then explain how it really works, but also let them know what they're getting, what type of products they're getting, what type of premiums they're paying, because there is a cost to enter it. But I think the biggest one is we don't charge them to liquidate. Every other company out there, they charge a percentage to liquidate your assets. We don't. We've already taken care of that when you walk in the door, when you buy our assets. And so I think, a lot of the things that we do differently when it comes to not charging exit fees to liquidate your metals, letting you know what your costs look like up front so that you're not wondering, what do I have? How much should I pay? And then culture. Again, it's education first. We go over the protection process, and then how do you facilitate the actual transaction? So education, culture, and not charging exit fees when you've made some money.
Now, I just thought of a question, and in my past, I used to work on an ambulance, right? So this is like partly medically induced question. But say I have an IRA with you and I'm getting elderly and I become incapacitated, or I get Alzheimer's or something, and you all don't know, and I just stop paying that $125 fee. Can I lose all my metals in there?
Great question. Yeah, it's about the communication. As I mentioned earlier, once you take the journey with us, it's all the way through. And we've had many situations where one has passed, or one is elderly and can't think for themselves, and children step in, family members step in with a POA, power of attorney. But no, if it just goes untouched, at some point they'll liquidate a small position to cover the cost so that they can keep the account intact. It's really that's a tough one, because those can happen. And I think going back to what separates us, we're constantly reaching out, doing annual reviews on their account, making sure that we're communicating with them so that we know if something does change, we're the first to know so that we can address it accordingly. That hasn't happened with us yet, and we've been doing this for a long time. And I think it comes to everything's communication when it comes to what we do on the back end. To answer your first question, it just doesn't go away.
Well, I actually really liked your answer, because look at safety deposit boxes than banks, which, by the way, folks, are not FDIC insured. FDIC is a joke anyway, but even and what happens is I've heard horror stories, elderly folks becoming incapacitated, not paying their bill, and then the bank just takes everything in the box. They don't sell off a coin or something. So I like the fact that you guys will liquidate a small portion to keep it solvent, and those metals are still there, whereas a bunch of other types of situations where that happens, you would lose everything. And I think that speaks to the integrity, again, of your company. I have people personally in my life that are looking for IRA options and stuff. So I started really diving into it, and I was really impressed with y'all and basically what you have on your website and what your company believes in and does. So a big shout out and kudos to you there. Is it anything else, any final words you want to give people about IRAs in general, or the gold and silver market as a whole?
What I'd like to close with is just, we're here to educate, help, give peace of mind. We're not going to tell you what to do. We may have some suggestions, but again, at the end of the day, we're here just to educate you. It's not that hard to protect your wealth or a portion of it. And it starts with change. You got to make a change, pick up the phone, reach out through this platform. Let us help you if you want. It's strictly education first. So we're hoping to be able to do that for anybody out there that you are reaching out to. So that's it. That's all.
Well, Shannon, thank you so much for this interview and for coming on and sharing all this critical information. It's the end of the video, and what do we say?
Catch you on the next one.
Catch you on the next one. Woo!
One stacker on a journey